Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are excited to have you here as a part of our innovation series. I'm going to be putting a link into the chat right now. We have several exciting events coming up today, including the session right now. And if you click on that link, you will be able to see the schedule of events. And if you haven't registered for any of the upcoming sessions, you can click on that link and you'll be able to register. With that being said, our session right now is titled Protecting PPI Through Data Masking. And Jim Marion from JMS Pros is going to be giving the presentation today. My name is Stephanie Anderson. I'm the Global Webinar Manager here at PathLock. And before we go any further, I just have a few housekeeping items. If you have any audio issues during this webinar, click on Preferences and then Audio. From there, you can check to see if you're using the appropriate audio device. You can also click on the play sound to check if you can hear the sound coming through your speakers. There will be a Q&A session following the presentation. And if you have any questions during the presentations or after, you can put your questions in the question box and we would be happy to answer those. To prevent background noise, everyone is on mute. And with that, I'll turn the time over to Jim for his presentation.
Hey, thank you, Stephanie. Fantastic. So today we're going to talk about protecting PII. Now, what is PII? Well, of course, it's an acronym. An acronym for what? Personally identifiable information. Okay, what does that mean to protect that personally identifiable information? And what on earth is data masking? So I want to show you a handful of different ways we can mask data in PeopleSoft. And then I want to talk to you about some things that, well, let's just say data masking cannot do. And there may be other products out there in the PeopleSoft space that could perhaps help you provide a better experience for your users. But first, excuse me, sorry. My name is Jim Marion. I've been in the PeopleSoft community for roughly 2 decades. You may know us from our People Tools books, our blog posts, our YouTube channel, or our training classes. Today, we offer People Tools training classes in a variety of delivery formats, including live virtual, recorded on demand, and live on-site training. That would be all of your standard People Tools training classes, as well as some you might not consider to be standard. We teach things from Fluid to People Tools 1, event mapping, drop zones, approval workflow engine, query. If it's People Tools related or reporting related, we probably teach it. We also have a new announcement I want to share with you at the end of this session, something that we just launched last night, in fact. But anyways, what is, or how can we protect PII? So let's log in and let's find some personally identifiable information in PeopleSoft. And let's see, let's go to, well, actually, you know what? Personally identifiable information is all over the PeopleSoft experience. It's in self-service, it's in back office. Let's go to one of these back office pages. How about, and excuse me, let's do this. That's better. Let's go to Workforce Admin and then Job Information and then to Job Data. Excuse me, let's go up one level. Let's go to Workforce Admin and how about Personal Information instead, and then modify a person. And then let's open, it doesn't matter who we open, anybody. And let's see, oh, you know what? I just found some personally identifiable information. Now, a lot of times we might say Ample ID name. I mean, are those personally identifiable information? You know, that's really up to you and your organization to decide. But things that we consider sensitive, personally identifiable information, date of birth, month and day. Is that sensitive? Again, it might be up to your organization, you and your organization. But a lot of times we want people to know the month and day of a birthday because, I mean, hey, that's exciting. We can congratulate people on their birthdays, etc. It's the year, in other words, how old are you? That's the piece that we might consider to be sensitive information. And then further below, we see the national identifier. So There are different reasons that we want to hide these pieces of sensitive information. This one here, it might be protection and theft. This one up here, this might be protection, but from a different perspective that we're protecting the person. Gender, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that we may want to secure or mask. So what are some of those ways in PeopleSoft that we can apply masking? And by the way, this session will run until about 12:40 Central. So I'm gonna do my best to keep an eye on the time. Okay, so what are some ways we can mask this data? Well, there are a handful of different ways. One of them is something called Page and Field Configurator. Now, Page and Field Configurator is not PeopleTools. Page and Field Configurator is part of something called Enterprise Components. It is a tool built by the apps team, specifically the financials applications team, and then applied to all of the PeopleSoft applications through a shared environment. Now, the reason that's so important, the reason I bring that up is because you may be on the absolute latest PeopleTools release. You might be on 8.6.0, what is it, 02 is the latest release, and not have Page and Field Configurator. It depends on what applications release you are using, whether you have Page and Field Configurator available to you. If you've applied, got current within the last year, odds are really high you have Page and Field Configurator. Anyways, Page and Field Configurator, later versions of Page and Field Configurator, I should clarify, have a data masking feature. So let's try that. Let's try out the Page and Field Configurator data masking to mask the birth year of this, we might call sensitive information. So in a new window, I am going to navigate to Enterprise Components. And then Page and Field Configuration, and then Page and Field Configurator. Now, there's a lot we could talk about in Page and Field Configurator, but given the amount of time that we have today, we're only going to talk about a subset of the data masking features. We cover it in great detail in our various training courses. Okay, so first thing is we start with what's the component name? Well, let's go back here and let's find out. So a quick J control, we find out the component is named personal data, fantastic. We can come back here to Page Field Configurator and ask the question, are there existing configurations for personal data? Well, here's the thing. This is a brand new POM image. So Page and Field Configurator is created for me to change the behavior and appearance of Oracle delivered pages. So I hope there are no configurations out there because I haven't created any yet. Let's find out. There are configurations out there for this Oracle delivered component. These would be Oracle delivered configurations. Oh, okay. So another conversation we need to have is what's the difference between a customization and a configuration? We don't have time for that whole conversation, but summarize it. If you're changing Oracle delivered metadata, you are customizing the Oracle delivered solution. Is this Oracle delivered metadata? Well, it sure looks like it. What does Oracle have to say? The short answer is Oracle says they're delivering this data as a demo purposes. It's a POM image. They don't intend to update it, maintain it, etc. So we'll call that a non-customization. Okay, anyways, so what do they have here? Well, they've got, let's see, a handful of configurations, and they are masking. This is actually a masking configuration on personal data. It's masking, middle name, interesting. And NID special chart, that would be the national identifier. That's a good one. That's a good one to mask. And, oh, look at that. They've already got some masking here applying to the birth date and the age months, age years, and the marital status. We identified those earlier as potentially sensitive pieces of personally identifiable information. Interesting. Now, one of the things that Page and Field Configurator lets you do is apply those configurations on a role basis. It also allows you to apply those configurations on a user basis. Again, we don't have time to talk about it in great detail, but my answer to you is don't ever use the user-specific configurations. It's way too much to maintain. Users move around in the organization. You're already going to be updating roles. Always use roles. What we see here, the Oracle delivered configurations that are for prototyping and testing purposes, use users that we probably don't even have in our systems, so we can ignore them. And they're based on users. Great. So let's pretend like these configurations don't exist because as far as we're concerned, they don't. Let's apply a masking configuration to the date of birth. Okay, so the configuration is going to be on the page fields, not the search page. And I'm going to choose select fields. Oh, question, what is the field we want to mask? Well, it says here that it has a label of date of birth. So let's go over here and let's take a look. Date of birth. Huh, what do you know? There are two of those. Well, which one is it? Really good question. So if you're a functional person rather than a developer, see a developer, we just go to App Designer. We'd open it up and take a look. But functional people, we probably don't have that ability to log into Application Designer. Here's the thing, Page and Field Configurator was created for functional people to make changes to PeopleSoft delivered pages without requiring a developer, which means you and I should be able to figure it out without Application Designer. How might I do that? Here's a trick that I use. So inspect, yes, it's going to show us a little bit of code, ignore that. But what we're looking for is right here. It says the name, the ID. It says person underscore birthday. Well, what's person? That's a record. What's birthday? That's a field. Person underscore birthday. Now there's underscores throughout names, etc., but there's always an underscore separating the record from the field. So from this, we can kind of go back here and say, okay, so person birthday. Aha. That's the one. Oh, fantastic. Look at this. It's already categorized according to some registry. Is it sensitive? Yes. Is it personal identifier? Okay. Well, true. You cannot identify somebody just based on their date of birth. But you ever go to the doctor's office and say, hey, I need to make an appointment or something? What's the very first question they ask you? It isn't your name. It's what's your date of birth? And then from there, they filter down to what's your name? Okay. Is this person identifiable? Well, obviously it helps in some way. Interesting. Okay, anyways, let's go down here and press the OK button. And then we see that, ooh, look at that. PeopleSoft has already chosen a mask for us based off of the field type. So Page and Field Configurator has this whole masking module built into it where you have different masking profiles with the various characters that you might use. X and asterisk are the two most common. I have some other ideas if we have time I want to share with you. And what do you want to mask? PeopleSoft is properly recognized, I should say Page and Field Configurator is properly recognized. This is a date field. It says, hey, I've got some masking options for you. I like it, that's cool. So let's just save this. And then let's go to Map to Portal Registry to apply this. How did we get there? We went through Workforce Admin, Personal, Modify a Person. Okay, so Workforce Admin, Person, that's the one. So I'm going to check the box and apply configuration. Interesting thing to note about this is you can have different configurations for different navigations because you have different people who get there in various ways. All right, so I want to refresh this. And it's going to, of course, take me back to the search page. That's all right, let's do it. Hit the refresh button. And then we're back to the search page. Okay, pull up the same row. And oh, that is fantastic. Look at that. The birth year is masked. And it is not editable. It's display only. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because, I mean, if it were editable and it were XXXX and you tried to save that back to the database, that just wouldn't work, would it? So it makes complete sense that it's marked as display only. But it begs a question, who can edit this data? Obviously, somebody has to edit this data. So that is, when we go back into Page Field Configurator, that's the point of user lists. But I do want to talk about one more thing. And that is, let's do this. Let's open this in Application Designer. Open component, and you know what? Let's actually just go to the page. Okay, so personal data one, page. And let's look at the date of birth. So there it is, date of birth. I'm going to double click. Now, what did we choose? We chose person, birth date. Okay, that makes sense. And let's see what this says. It says it is, let me zoom in for you just so you can see that as well. That is not person, birth date, just in case you missed it. What is that? Well, let's think, I'm gonna, abbreviations, that's what this is. So HC, human capital, overlay, ran out of characters, mask, date of birth. Wait a minute. Okay, so you and I used page and field configurator to apply masking to this one page, this date of birth, in this one location. Now, what about date of birth based on a person ID? Everywhere else it's used in PeopleSoft. Nope, not masked. You and I masked one date of birth in one location. This is a tool you and I can use anywhere in PeopleSoft. Page and field configurator, love it. But is it the right way to mask this particular entry? See, this is where masking can get confusing because we actually have a handful of different tools we can use for masking. We can use event mapping. I'm going to show that one to you because there are fun things we can do with event mapping. If we have time, I'll show it to you. Number two is page and field configurator. That's the recommended approach to do masking across the applications because it's a generic approach, meaning it's not application specific approach, meaning you can take this one concept and apply it everywhere. But it's limited in how you can apply it. Like, for example, what characters can you use? Well, you can use X, you can use asterisk. You might be able to create some other masking profiles as well through the masking. It's over here under page and, just kidding. It's over here. Under page field configurator, there are the defined masking profiles. So you could perhaps take some time and create some of your own masking profiles, etc. There are some incredibly complicated masking profiles that are stored in tables. So you could insert the data into the appropriate tables behind the scenes. They're not documented. They're not intended for you and I to maintain. They're apps delivered masking profiles. Anyways, is there a way that you and I could just say, hey, HCM, this is an HCM application. Can we mask date of birth everywhere? The answer is, well, the answer is it depends on the application. But in this case, the answer is yes, because the HCM team built into the HCM application data masking. So you can just say, hey, date of birth, that's sensitive information and we want to protect it. Turn on masking. So you turn on masking through the HCM installation options, and then from the HCM installation options, let me show you. Let's go to setup, let's go to security, and then let's go to data masking. And let's go to setup component level masking. And this identifies, you can see here, it's already enabled. So as soon as you turn on masking at your installation level, instantly, let's find personal data. There it is, personal data. It's already masking date of birth. It's already masking national ID. And if you look at the masking parameters, you notice it's also already masking age, month, and age years. What are we not doing? Oops. Yeah, that's, oh, yeah, couldn't figure that one out. Yeah, so we probably want to mask that as well. If we're using page and field configurator, that's on us. If we're using component level masking from the applications team, it's on them. I love that. So here's the thing. If you and I use page and field configurator to mask, is that a configuration? Is it a customization? We call it an isolated customization. What does that mean? It means that you and I can make the change all day long. Oracle can make change to their content all day long, and there should be no collisions. But if there are, it's on us to fix them. If something is broken, if it's page and field configurator that's broken, you can file a My Oracle support ticket. But if it's the intersection of your application of page and field configurator over an Oracle delivered component, it's on you to fix it. Because it's you using the Oracle delivered tools to attempt to apply something. What about the component level masking supplied by the HR team? That's on them. If something is broken with the Oracle delivered masking, that's on Oracle to fix. That's awesome. That frees you and I from having to fix some of these issues. So anyways, the order, what's available, event mapping, page and field configurator, and application specific masking. But our recommendation, start with application specific masking. Use theirs first, because if it's broken, it's on them. Then you go to page and field configurator. And the reason is because both functional and technical resources. And then finally, the the last one is developer specific, which would be using event mapping to apply masking. There's one other piece here that is, you might say, application delivered. I should say, actually, I don't even know what to say. Let's go there. It is under enterprise components. So yes, I do. That's why I'm confused. I'm not sure what to say because it's part of enterprise components and it is called data privacy framework. The data privacy framework allows you to apply data masking rules all the way through to query. So question, if I were to use page field configurator to mask the date of birth on this page, where is it masked? It's masked on this page. Is it masked anywhere else? The answer is no. It's just masked here. Okay, so what if I use the Oracle delivered set component level masking? Where does that masking apply? Well, it applies here and every other page where PeopleSoft chose to apply that. What about query? That's what the data privacy framework gives you. Carries that masking all the way through to query. And that's critical because query becomes part of your indexes for Elasticsearch. Query becomes part of your reporting through XML BI Publisher. Query is, well, just query. There's pivot grids, so many different uses for query today. And this is why I say I don't know whether to call this people tools or whether to call it enterprise components. Obviously, you configure it in enterprise components, but enterprise components does not own query. People tools does. So obviously, for enterprise components to be able to impact reporting tools, query, there has to be some sort of people tools ownership, people tools change there to the query product. Fascinating. Anyways, we don't have time to go through all of the query masking, but I will tell you a little bit about it. And that is that you choose who gets to see what data, primarily based on role, and that's how it should be. It should be based on roles. Likewise, if we go over here to set up component level masking, you can see there is authorized roles, where we choose which role gets to see which fields. Date of birth. We don't have anyone configured in there. Again, same thing. Let's try this. How about, and by the way, if you have questions at any time, feel free to throw those into the Q&A panel. How about, let's do a quick event mapping. So we need a scenario. How about this? Let's go to, let's try employee self-service. And let's go to, oh, by the way, you know what? Let's go back there for just a moment. National identifier. Let's do this one really quick too in page field configurator. So this is derived HR NID special char. Okay, so page field configurator, and let's add one more configuration. Let's make sure there are no conflicts in the data. And let's add one more field. And we're gonna look for that NID special char, derived HR, that's the one. Yes, yes, it is sensitive and it is personally identifiable. Okay, fantastic. It's got a national ID mask predefined there. Let's try it out. Let's see if it works. Oh, should we go back and remap? You know, it does not hurt to do that. Do you have to? That's questionable, but it doesn't hurt to do it. Okay, great. Let's try this again. And that was KU0001. Okay, fantastic. So national identifier, it's masked, totally, 100%. Can't edit it, nothing. Let's say that you are a user who needs to edit this data. Well, don't mask it then, right? That's obvious. Okay, what if you happen to work in an environment where it's easy for somebody to walk behind you? So, you know, shoulder surfing, as they call it. Oh. Let's say that you're opening these pages all the time and you're not editing this piece of information, but sometimes you need to edit that piece of information. Wouldn't it be really cool if you could have it masked until somebody actually needs to edit that? Then they could click and then it would be viewable and editable. So that is not a feature offered through People Tools. Is it something you could build into your own PeopleSoft solutions? Well, the answer is always yes, because it's a computer and you can do anything you want to with a computer. But there's another idea, and that is to leverage a product specifically. The PathLock Apsian ERP Security Firewall has that capability. Click to view, they call it. Now, not only can we click to view, we can take it a step further. It can log those clicks. So if you have somebody, multiple people doing the same role, and somebody seems to be clicking more often than others, maybe we should be auditing that. Maybe perhaps that person has a side business and they're doing something with that information they're harvesting. Maybe we want to further protect that information through an extra layer of protection through multi-factor authentication. Again, those are things you can do with the PathLock ERP Firewall Security Platform. Okay, great. So let's take a look now at a different scenario. Let's try some event mapping. So again, let's go home and let's go to employee self-service and personal details. And let's see, additional information, fantastic. And at the bottom here, we're gonna see, oh, there it is, right in the middle. It has the national identifier. Again, could we use a page and field configurator to mask this? Yes. Could this perhaps be masked through the HCM data masking? Probably. But does HCM data masking exist in campus solutions? No. Does it exist in financials? No. Do they have their own? I hope so, but I don't know. I'm a developer. So let me show you how I, as a developer, might handle this. One method is through event mapping. Now, event mapping requires you and I to write a little bit of people code, and then we take that people code and we map it into an event. Now, if you think about the standard events, we've got component post build, component pre-build, we've got page activate. We're going to go with page activate because that's the last event to trigger before content is rendered to our users. We don't have to worry about field change here, nothing's editable. Let's just go right with page activate. Great. Next thing we need to know is what's the record and what's the field. The best way to do that is to open this page in Application Designer, HR additional info FL. And whew, scary. Okay, here it is, I think. Let's find out. It's fluid. Who knows? By the way, we teach fluid all the time. Absolutely love PeopleSoft fluid. National identifier. Oh, there it is. Perfect. Derived HR. Oh, never would have guessed that one. Okay, so here, let's do this. Let's set that aside. So that's the record. That's the field. And what we want to do is some people code. It's set display mask. And let's start out with just the asterisk, because I mean, that's what everyone does, right? And then how many characters do we want to leave unmasked? Okay, so that's the people code. If I were to modify Oracle delivered, I would throw this into page activate, but that would be a modification that you and I would have to maintain through upgrades. So instead, I want to use what we might call an isolated customization approach, where we isolate our customization from Oracle delivered, allowing Oracle to continue updating their page, and then Oracle to apply our customization at runtime. That's what we're going to use. All event mapping uses the exact same template, exact same pattern. So here's what it looks like. Let's see, we've got a GitHub repository. I'll share this with you in the chat. There it is. Perfect. Just kidding. Missing that to all. Better. Okay. And people code templates. And then let's go to, it is event mapping. And I'm going to grab the event mapping template from here. All event mapping uses the exact same people code. We teach an application classes course. Do you have to be an application classes master to use event mapping? Well, of course you do. No, you don't. You just have to follow this one template. I hate to say that because I'd love for you to take our class, but at the same time, I want to be real. You don't have to know application classes to use event mapping. Will it make you better at event mapping? Absolutely 100%, but you don't have to. You just follow this pattern. Our template says to do, put your code here. That's where the one-liner goes. Okay, so we've got our code written. Next thing we need to do is put that code into PeopleSoft into what we call an application package. So we're going to create a new application package, and we need to give it a name, which we call it, how about we call this ID for Innovation Day, and then we're going to use the name of the target component, additional information. So that is this piece right here. and then underscore EVT. That just makes it easier for you and I to find this event mapping later. And inside there, we're going to put an application class, and we're going to call this, oh, you know what? Let's actually put in a new package, a sub package. We'll call it the name of the page. Oh, is the name of the page? They look like they're the same. Great, and then we will put in our class page activate, and then throw our code in there. So the code says change class name to event name. Okay, good. Note to self, change the class name. Press the save button. Oh, I forgot to say it. Change it. Doesn't matter. Thank you, PeopleSoft. It changed the name for me. Isn't that so awesome? Okay, great. Next step is to go through event mapping. Now we are using People Tools 859. Event mapping changed in 859. Jim, we aren't using People Tools 860. Too new. We have a rule. It's the 04 patch release. Last year we went to, or whenever 859 came out, we went to the 03. We started there. Like I said, 04, that's our rule. Okay, so anyways, we're going to People Tools, Portal, Event Mapping, and then Event Mapping Configuration. New way to do event mapping in 859. Step one is to go onto the second link, define your service. On the right-hand side, you can see a plus button. Well, you know what, let's do it this way. There. And let's call this ID. What are we doing? It is EE for self-service. I'll just type something, mask and ID. All right, you probably need a little bit more identifying information, but that's enough to, in the interest of time. Okay, what's a root package? It's called ID something. Good, there's only one of those out there. And the path is the name of the page, and the application class is page activate. And let's scroll to the bottom here and press the save button. Now, the next step I would say is the hardest step. Now in 859, they attempted to make it easier for us by allowing us to use this add configuration to search Elasticsearch by label. So what we want to look for is additional information. And let's see. Oh, I can't believe it. No, I should have thought of this earlier. Ugh. Which one? Which one's the right one? I'm guessing it's one of these two. So we came up with a solution for this because I got to thinking about this, and whether it was 858, 855, or 859, they had different ways of navigating to find the content reference. Both of them had their own problems. You would find this exact same issue with something like my team in HR in 858 in the old way. So I got to think about that. You know, the hardest part about event mapping is how to identify the target content reference, because that's what event mapping applies to, is content references. I thought, how would I do that? I thought, well, the easiest way would be to go to the component, you know, content reference, go right there. And then here in the menu, have a link. Just click the link and do event mapping. Map events right from here. That would be so awesome, wouldn't it? Like if you have the PT 1200 permission list or PeopleSoft developer role, automatically an item shows up there. That would be so awesome. So we did that. And we shared it with attendees of our November webcast. Configuration Day. It's available out there. We've got it on our website if you're interested in learning more. We also said, you know what? That actually kind of required a modification. Is there a way for us to do that as pure 100% configuration? I said, well, hey, I've got these really cool things that I do. Like I put bookmarks up here for a new window, bookmarks up here for refreshable URL. You know, like for example here, authorized rules. Let's open one up here, passport. And so when we hit the PS refreshable URL, you know, it moves it up there, so you can just hit refresh all day long. I was like, I've got all these cool tricks. I said, why don't I come up with one for event mapping? So from here, I click a button and it automatically takes me over there, bringing me to the correct component. Again, we shared that in our Configuration Day event, all the code, everything available for you to download, one-day webcast. You know what I'm going to say? Let's just try one of these. Sometimes that's what it comes down to. I don't know which one it is, and I cannot tell from here. Impossible. So, oh, there is another way. No, there's not. I was going to say there is one documented in my Oracle support, and that is to use page and field configurator as the source to drill through. So using page field configurator, you just create a quick configuration, doesn't have to do anything. Hit apply configuration. What that does is create the base event mapping. Then you can go to event mapping and click on the link rather than having to find it. But let's do it this way. Let's just try one of these. Let's find out what happens. It's going to be page level, and the page is going to be the HR edition. What is it called? Isn't it called HR additional info? Interesting. That's not here. Okay, so maybe that was the wrong one. So that was the first one that I tried, right? So let's try the second one. Oh, you know what? I can't believe it. I didn't even notice this. I'll bet you did. That is that whenever you choose page, it switches to record, or whenever you choose record, it switches to page. And then you have to click it twice. I'll bet that's what happened. I didn't even notice it. There it is. There's the page. I should have noticed because it had like WRK and derived. I should have noticed those were record names, not page names. All right. I mean, hey, let's just try it. Let's see what happens. And it is enabled. Let's go over here to HR additional information. Let's refresh and woohoo, it's masked. That looks strange. It's masking like the dashes too or something. Huh. Anyways, I got an idea. How about instead of asterisks, let's try something else. So how about, because PeopleCode's a Unicode language, which means we can put anything we want to into Unicode. I mean, if there's a character for it. So how about the Unicode dot character? This is a really common one to use for, say, password masking or something. So let's go back here and put this here. And then let's refresh. Ooh, cool. Well, sometimes the length itself is considered sensitive. So here's an idea. What if we did this? I want to show this to you. So I want to right click inspect, and then we see it, you can see here, it's showing you all of the characters that are inside there. Okay, you could count them. You know exactly how many there are there. All right, let's do this. So I'm using a space this time. I'm going to hit the refresh button. And this time when we look at it, where's the space? It isn't there. It's only showing the last 4. Wild. See, PeopleSoft runs through an HTML fixing program before it delivers the HTML down to your web browser. And as part of that fixing, it does white space compression. And it said, hey, white spaces before a tag, irrelevant. Collapses it, eliminates it. So now we don't know how many characters are there. That's actually pretty cool, don't you think? So I got to thinking about this and I thought, what else can you do with this? What if we did this? This is fluid, right? And I'm about out of time, so I've got to be careful here. So what if we created our own little profile here? How about JSM, site-specific prefix, mask, no evil. Great. And then over here, let's apply a rule to .jsm mask no evil. And then actually want to go to psbox value .ps underscore box dash value colon before. Fantastic. And then over here, let's do something really fun. How about let's grab these guys. What I want to find is a copy emoji button. There it is, copy. And then let's go over here and let's do content. Uh-oh, I did it wrong. I probably typed, yeah, I need an underscore right here. Okay, I've got, box dash value. Ooh, there it is. Okay, so now we say, you know what, one monkey isn't enough, so, okay, awesome. Isn't that so cool? Could you perhaps have just done that here? I mean, hey, you can use these, by the way, you can use emoji in people code comments. Who'd have thought? But no, unfortunately, some of those, when they're translated down and come down to the web browser, PeopleSoft does something with the different byte characters in Unicode. Anyways, we're about out of time, and I want to make sure that there's enough time for two things. One of them is an announcement that I have for you, and that is that we are now, starting last night, we just launched this last night, our entire library is available to you for one price. So every class we've ever taught, right now we have just about a dozen courses out there. We've got another dozen that our team is actively editing that we hope to have up online within the next month or two. Every webcast, every webinar we've ever done, I did the math, it turns out to about 500 hours of training, which comes out to roughly 3 months of our library available to you, all of it, 24/7 access for a whole year. Pay one price, you get the whole thing. You ever take a class and you say, oh, that was such an amazing class? Of course, if you've taken one of mine, that's what you said. And then at the, 3 weeks later, you're like, oh, what was that again? Boy, I wish I could look back at the replay. There you go. Got the entire library available to you, one price. I encourage you to check it out. Keep an eye on it as we're actively adding a lot more content to it. We're building this out right now, but I want to make sure that you know it's out there. Anyways, I want to leave some time for questions, and I also want to give Stephanie an opportunity to close before the next session starts.
Thank you so much, Jim. Again, if you have any questions, please add them now into the question box. Just a few announcements before we end. I put the link in the chat that you can find for the upcoming sessions for the rest of the day. So if you would like to click on that, you can see the schedule and you can register for those. I am not seeing any questions for now. So if you do have any questions, please email us at events@pathlock.com, or you can reach out to Jim and we will get the questions to him. So with that, thank you so much, and we hope to see you at following events.
Thank you. Fantastic.